Thank you, Clive. Hello and welcome to Friday's Look East. Coming up, the triple murder investigation in Kettering. A community mourns the loss of a nurse and her 2 children.
All are in very shock and we can't recover from the sadness that we had, and we are sending prayer to whole family.
Spiked by injection on a night out. Sophie's warning to others who are heading out tonight. Meanwhile, we're out on patrol in Luton with the officers trying to keep people safe. And it's Monday, 23rd of April. Good evening and welcome to a new week on Look East. From our first programme to the last, as we broadcast for the final time from the Cambridge studio. Well, we start tonight with the mother and 2 young children killed in Kettering yesterday. Police have confirmed the victims were a nurse from the local hospital, her 6-year-old son and 4-year-old daughter. Flowers and toys have been left at the block of flats where they were fatally injured. Our reporter, Helen Mulroy, has spent the day there.
A steady stream of tributes laid today in a community rocked by this devastating incident. Police in Northamptonshire revealing who they believe the victims in this murder investigation are.
Formal identification is yet to take place. However, the woman is believed to be a 35-year-old woman, Anju Asok, a nurse at Kettering General Hospital, and the 2 children, Jiva Saju, aged 6, and Janvi Saju, aged 4.
Among those laying flowers, Anju's colleagues from the Barnwell orthopaedic ward where she worked. Jismi, a close friend, pictured here with Anju and her daughter just a month ago, told us she was a hard-working and compassionate nurse.
I'm sending much love and prayers from whole Kettering Hospital and from the on behalf of Barnwell B ward. All are in very shock and we can't recover from the sadness that we had, and we are sending prayer to whole family, and I know it's very difficult for them to recover from this situation. She was very hardworking and I know that she gone from our sight, but she will not gone from our heart.
Sandra lives across the street. She used to talk to Anju and the children would play with her dog. She said the whole street has been shaken by this tragedy.
They were a lovely family, you know, and the 2 children, they were adorable, and they're just gone. You know, any time's bad, you know, Christmas, but any time's bad, you know. And like I said on my floral tribute, that little word why, you know, it's just a little word, but it's why did they have to go? Why did this have to happen?
Kettering Park Infant School just behind me is just half a mile from Petherton Court, and confirmation from the school today that Janvi and Jiva joined the school just last year. Head teacher Sarah Powell said in a statement, "We are all devastated to learn of the shocking incident involving 2 of our pupils. They were delightful and caring children who will be sadly missed." A devastating crime in a quiet suburban area that has shocked so many.
And Helen is still in Kettering for us tonight. Helen, what stage is the police investigation at now?
Yes, Janine, that murder investigation centred around the ground floor flat here at Petherton Court behind me. It continues. Northamptonshire police say that 52-year-old man that was arrested yesterday remains in custody and continues to be questioned in relation to these deaths. Now, forensic post-mortem examinations were going on today and it said that they will continue tomorrow, and there still remains a police presence here. But as it's got to be said here, the floral tributes alongside me have grown even since this afternoon, and you may be able to glimpse a single candle next to me in memory of a mother and her 2 children. Janine.
Helen, thank you. Next tonight, the leader of Cambridgeshire County Council says it is atrocious that Stagecoach East plans to increase bus fares. It comes weeks after huge changes to services in the county. From the 8th of January, it will cost on average 39 pence more for adults to travel by bus on day rider tickets. Stagecoach has apologised but said it's the first increase in over 4 years and it will improve services. Well, on to trains, because train services have been hit today by the start of another 48-hour strike by members of the RMT union. It's thought only 1 in 5 trains would run today and tomorrow. Network Rail accused the union of trying to ruin Christmas, but the RMT says compromise could end the long-running dispute about pay and conditions. It's 23 minutes to 7. You're watching Look East. Coming up, a crunch match for coals. We hear from one of the Saints' rising stars. But first, it has been described as a heinous crime, and it's likely that it will happen tonight in our region as people flock to town and city centres for a night out. We're talking about spiking. Now, you don't see it coming, but it can leave victims unable to walk or talk. They have memory loss and in some cases can contract hepatitis or HIV. Now, there are 2 types. Either a drug is put into your drink or it's injected through your skin. That is needle spiking. You may just feel a small scratch as someone passes by. It is a crime that is underreported, but we know it's happened to thousands of people. This time last week, well, Sophie was one of them. She told me she was out with colleagues at a club in Cambridge. They were sitting in a booth sharing a couple of bottles of wine from an ice bucket. She stood up to go to the toilet and felt fine. But 2 minutes later, everything changed.
When I got to the toilet, I just felt very ill, very faint, and I think I was actually sick when I was in the toilet. I remember my friend saying, "Sophie, like, are you okay? Where are you?" And I came out and I said to her, "Sorry, I really just don't feel very well. I think I'm going to have to go home." So with that, we went back across to the table. I don't really remember getting back to the table. I just sort of went unconscious. All of my limbs went floppy. I remember my head just falling. While we had a bucket on the table, my head sort of went into that. My arms went down the side of the seat and I just slid onto the floor. And the next thing I remember is a bouncer, or a couple of bouncers actually, coming over and lifting my legs up into the air. And all I really remember is seeing my red shoes in the air and being really concerned that anyone could see up my dress, wondered where my handbag was, and I couldn't really do anything. The bouncers actually just left me on the floor outside in, I think it was probably about -5. And they said, well, spiking doesn't happen here. It wouldn't happen in our club. She must just be drunk.
Your friends called an ambulance?
Yes, one of my friends called an ambulance and they said it would take 8 hours to get there. So by that point, basically, I think everyone we were with, and I was starting to feel a little bit better, they just decided that I needed to go home, and we tried to get some taxis home, but unfortunately they wouldn't take us home either.
Because they thought you were drunk?
Yeah, because they thought I was drunk. So I was basically just labelled as drunk by the bar staff, the bouncers and the taxi drivers as well.
What do you think happened, Sophie?
When I went across the dance floor, I do think that I was spiked, probably by an injection.
Did you feel anything?
I didn't feel anything at the time, but I think when you are walking across the dance floor, it's quite, easy to just scrape across someone's bag or bump into someone, especially when it's quite busy. So no, I didn't feel anything.
Although you went to the police and there was a mark on your arm.
Yes, that's right. So I actually reported it to the police the next day when I woke up. I woke up at about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I really still didn't feel very well. I felt very dizzy, very tired, and I just thought, I'm pretty certain that I was spiked last night. I also had a little mark on my arm here that looked just as if you'd had a flu jab, and it was like blood on the top of it. So I reported it to the police online, and within about an hour of that, I had them call me and wanted to get someone else to see me.
Do you remember feeling scared?
I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. I remember saying, I can't feel my legs. I wanted to get up, but I couldn't move. I definitely will not be going to a nightclub anytime soon. I want to go out and see my friends. I realise that I can't stay in and be a hermit and keep away from things, but I won't be putting myself in busy, crowded environments where you don't know what's going on or who's around you.
So this assault has made you change your behaviour?
Yeah, I'm scared now. I'm also worried about what will I wear. Will I have to cover up because I had my shoulders out? Do people target you because, it's
bare
easy?
Skin.
Yeah, because you've got bare skin. You don't know what's in that needle or what infections are in that needle. Are they just spiking you with it? Have they spiked multiple people in the same evenings with it? I was so lucky in the fact that I don't have any medical conditions, but if it was someone with a medical condition or who takes medication, this could have potentially killed them.
Well, Sophie was spiked at a club, but it can happen in other places. According to a Home Office committee survey, hundreds of cases have happened in bars and also at private parties where perhaps people pay a little less attention to their drinks. Now, Sophie wants more people to report spiking to the police. We've been out with officers in Luton last night to see how they are tackling it.
We are going to facilities like this and training them on NTE, so nighttime economy, and making them aware of what's going on, and perpetrators of things like drug spiking and how to be aware of them. So taking the onus away from victims. We have a app, it's called Flare, so you can report anonymously, so just like Crime Stoppers, you can let us know, so you don't have to call 101 or 999, you can report anonymously on people's behalf or even as a victim.
They tried to come into the club, they hand us the ID, I look at it, I'm like, yeah, no, you're not coming in. We go by the Ask Angela. So if somebody comes up to us and asks if Angela's working, we'll deal with the situation discreetly. Either get them out through the back of the building into a taxi, and we eject the mail and we inform the police.
Wow. And are people catching on? Do people know about Ask Angela now?
We do get a few Ask Angelas a night.
You do? A few a night?
Depends on the crowd who's in.
Yeah.
If it's mainly men that's in the club, then you get the, oh, a female's come in, let me try and... It's that sort of situation.
Yeah. Oh, hello.
I'm all right. It's all right.
Hello.
No, it's my house. I'm just trying to get into just chill out.
Have you got a key when you get there?
Yes, yeah. Don't worry.
Do you need our help?
I'm okay. If I need any help, I'll ring you.
Yeah?
All right, thank you. Thanks so much.
Your phone charged?
Yeah, it's fully charged. Thank you.
Thank you.
Crikey. I mean... Well, he had like sort of foaming at the mouth, wasn't he?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Are you a bit worried about her?
No, if she was worried, she would have let us know, and we're aware. So if we get any calls, we'll pop back and we'll let our sergeants know.
It makes me very much more cautious. Like, I feel nervous all the time, kind of thing. Like, you're always looking over your shoulder. You're always watching your drink a lot more closer these days. You're always watching who's around you, listening to the conversations. You're always trying to suss out, make sure you know your surroundings.
So when you say you're watching your drink, that's because you're worried someone might slip something into it?
Yeah. All like girls, I'm telling you, watch your drink. Always have your drink in it, because you never know what happens. People these days, the spiking has increased a lot.
Normally people are very chatty, they're very open, they want help. And women do want that kind of support, and to know that that's about not just women, men can be victims too. So we're trying to be open, we're speaking to people. If they don't engage, that's their choice, but they know we're here and they know they can reach out if they need to.
Bedfordshire police officers out in Luton there. Well, let's bring in Dr. Lata Gautam, who's an Associate Professor in Forensic Science at Anglia Ruskin, working with Drink Aware and Cambridgeshire Police on this particular issue. Dr. Gautam, there isn't reliable data yet on spiking, is there? Because it's not a defined crime in its own right. If someone's going to be prosecuted, it's under other drugs or sexual offences. It's hard to pin down exact numbers. What kind of a problem does that make for us?
Yeah, that's right. It's very difficult to prove, and also we have to rely on the survey data based on what people are saying, how many cases are happening, how many people have witnessed this crime. Currently at Anglia Ruskin University, we are taking integrated approach of looking at survey data, but also analysing the testing kits that are commercially available, the samples that we could access it to build that evidence base. So currently, there is a lot of research going on. However, it is a crime there are a lot of things that we are not fully aware of.
But until we have that data, it's very difficult to do more about it, isn't it? It's a kind of chicken and egg situation.
Yeah, definitely. And also in terms of a crime, for example, it falls within Offences Against Persons Act or Sexual Offences Act. There is no standalone act for drink spiking or needling cases, and that's kind of a need for, I think, for the UK.
Let's talk about testing, if we may, because to prosecute, of course, you need evidence. We know that Sophie couldn't get to hospital that night. She couldn't get an ambulance. Taxis wouldn't take her. She called the police, but it was 3 days before police were able to do a test. And obviously, sometimes these substances are out of your system. Do you think victims are being failed by the testing?
I think it's very important to report the case on time and the sample to be collected. If the samples are collected on time, there is higher chance of detecting what compound probably is present in the system. If there is delay in reporting or in sample collection, based on the type of drug that could be used, that drug could already have been cleared from our body. That's something we call it half-life. So drug could have been cleared, therefore sometimes we may not detect. Therefore, it is very important to follow the guidelines in terms of timing for reporting. Correct timing for reporting is very important.
We know that with Sophie, she reported it the very next day, and she wants people to do that. She says, please come forward. The police, we know, are launching apps to help people report, but there is still a barrier there. What is that barrier, do you think?
I think the barrier, in terms of reporting, it's a crime that is very low reporting rate that we talk about. People are saying that when they are reporting, people are not believing. For example, when they are reporting in venues, the venue owner or the staff member is not believing, and they are thinking whether it's a drink rather than the drug. And also when they are reporting to police not believing. However, I would like to say there are already changes since October 2021 when the number of cases that were reported that increased. We have been conducting survey with the venues, clubs and bars, and the response that we have got is quite good, that they have already made changes to the processes for reporting, CPDs and regular trainings for their staff members, and also we are working with Cambridge Constabulary, and there have been changes in terms of how cases are dealt overall in general. So therefore, I'm hoping there would be positive outcomes on.
So changes have happened, please report, but we've still got a long way to go.
Definitely.
Dr. Lauta Gautam, thank you very much indeed for coming in. Thank you. Well, still to come on tonight's programme. After this week's deep freeze, when will we get the big thaw? Julie will be here with the forecast. But first, Alex Coles is one of Northampton Saints' rising stars. Brought up in Cambridge, he started his rugby journey playing across East Anglia. Now this autumn, he made his debut for England, and now, well, he is preparing for a crucial Champions Cup game against Munster at a sold-out Franklin's Gardens. Our sports reporter James Burridge has been to see him.
It's the best feeling in the world when you come off a pitch battered and bruised, but you've done it with your teammates.
He's got Coles away to the left-hand side, and the bumper-sized lob does things that smaller blokes normally do.
Do you remember that first moment you picked up a rugby ball and ran with it in anger?
Yeah, I remember my first club, so my first rugby experience was Newmarket Rugby Club. I played for both Cambridge and Shelford, and there's just so much enthusiasm for the game in the area. Still some of my best times playing rugby to this day are games I played at school and at club at that age.
It's been a crazy couple of months. Tell me about the moment Eddie Jones comes to you and says, you're going to make your debut for your country.
That feeling of walking off the bus at Twickenham, people sort of screaming, shouting, loud music playing. And I just remember sort of having a smile on my face and thinking, you know, this is why I play the game. This is amazing. After that, second to that would be singing that anthem in front of everyone, looking in the ground. No, I had so many family and friends there to watch my debut.
I bet Mum and Dad are proud, aren't they?
Yeah, they're very proud. I mean, I had 5 or 6 missed calls, and I think Mum was even more nervous and excited than I was. So I had to tell her to calm down because she was accentuating my already fraught emotions.
On Sunday, you've got a massive game against Munster. Saints, I think, would accept that they've misfired a bit. They've been inconsistent this season. So how are you going to find the right level of performance to get the 5 points you need against one of the best teams in Europe?
The big thing this week we're trying to focus on is making sure that we've got that right emotional level of sort of up for a fight that you need for any game of rugby. I don't think we're at a crisis stage yet. There's so much good that's coming out of this team. Coaches at Saints always talk about what's your motivation, what's your why for playing the game, because when things get tough, that's what you need to tap into. You need to remind yourself why you play, and if you've had a few losses on the bounce, you need to remind yourself, that you're playing something you love and something you've grown up loving, and that's kind of what I would tap into is those experiences I had as a teenager playing sport.
Alex Coles there talking to James Burridge. Big weekend ahead for Alex. We wish him all the very best. Now, you don't need me to tell you it's cold. In fact, we've got another weather warning for ice on the way, I think. It can be hard for us to cope with. But what does it mean for zoo animals who aren't meant to endure a big freeze? Well, the zookeeper at Shepworth has been telling us.
Hello there, I'm Alice, one of the carnival keepers at Shepworth Wildlife Park, and welcome to the zoo in the snow. There's no such thing as a snow day at home for zookeepers, but we don't mind. We're used to working out in all of the elements. But here are how some of our animals are reacting to the snow. But some of our animals, including our red pandas here, absolutely love the snow. Red pandas are native to the Himalayas, so are very, very used to the snowy conditions. And they even have fluffy pads of their feet to protect them from the cold. This is Ratner and Kelaboo, our two tigers here at the park. Not really enjoying the snow too much, Ratner and Kellevu are Sumatran tigers, which means they're jungle cats. They like the heat. Amur tigers, the largest subspecies of tiger, are the ones that love the snow and love the cold, since they're from the Amur regions of Russia. Thankfully, our tigers have nice fluffy beds to get into with heated floors. So even though they're jungle cats and they don't really like the cold, they're still toasty warm here at the park.
I tell you what, if those lemurs made that snowman, they're onto something good, aren't they? Weren't those tigers amazing too? It's so lovely to see the behind-the-scenes footage there from Shepparton. Thank you so much for that. Now, talking of the weather, it's time for the forecast with Julie.
Hello, and what a week of weather it has been. But come Monday, I think wintry scenes like this one taken in Bedford earlier today, well, they'll become a distant memory very quickly as things turn much warmer and wetter. But this week, some spots have remained sub-zero. That's been the case at a climate station at Buntingford in Hertfordshire since late Saturday. A top temperature there of 0.0 Celsius on Tuesday. And yet again last night it was Woburn in Bedfordshire that recorded the lowest temperature of -11 degrees Celsius. And we could see similar values tonight underneath these clear skies. We're likely to have some areas of mist and freezing fog and some areas of cloud also drifting in from the west later on. So here are those lowest temperatures quite widely, -3 to -8, but where we've got snow on the ground, well, we could see -10 to -11 degrees Celsius. And the winds turning southwesterly, and those southwesterly winds will drag in slightly less cold air for Saturday. High pressure keeping us dry, but here is the low pressure system bringing us this warmer, wetter weather for Sunday, and I'll come to that in a moment. But Saturday, after a cold, frosty, icy start, yes, more cloud compared to today, but also some spells of December sunshine. Top temperatures of about 4 or 5 degrees Celsius, although it's likely to stay close to freezing where we keep any snow cover. And then Sunday, that system eventually pushing in from the southwest, probably bringing us rain. Any snow at the moment is expected to stay to the west, but that rain could fall on frozen ground for a time, and that's why the Met Office have issued this yellow warning for ice from the early hours of Sunday morning. For a time, we really could have very treacherous conditions out there. So Sunday, cloudy, outbreaks of rain, potentially that icy start, and the winds could gust up to about 30 miles per hour. And then on Monday, the winds could be even stronger, again cloudy with outbreaks of rain, and look at that jump in temperature. Well, highs of 12 to 14 degrees Celsius on Monday. What a contrast with this week. And then very unsettled from Tuesday, and actually still quite a lot of doubt when it comes to the forecast on the run up to the Christmas weekend, but we'll keep you posted on that one. And can I just say, these sunny spells are especially for my colleagues in Cambridge. It has been a joy to be part of your team.
Well, I think the reason that Jules sent us some of that beautiful sunshine was because this is the last time that Your Lookies programme will be brought to you from the studio and the team based here in Cambridge. From Monday, it'll be our colleagues in Norwich who bring you the nightly news. We're being merged into a wider region so that the BBC can devote more funds to online journalism. Now, of course, you will see some of the team again, but not all of us. And there is a big group of people who you never get to see. So I thought tonight I would introduce you to some of them because it's kind of now or never. This is Nick. You'll often find him wielding one of these big cameras here in the studio with me. And if we go through the main studio doors out into the gallery, see the on-air sign up there. Well, this is where the director, the graphics, the autocue operators all are on a nightly basis, as well as Miriam, who keeps us all on time. Now, Miriam is always covered in clocks, and down at the end we have the producer. It's Mike who's got the honour of bringing you our final programme tonight. Now, it is sometimes smooth, sometimes quite stressful, and it's these people in here who are often firefighting those problems when things go wrong, and we're trying not to let it show. We have been broadcasting from this building for 13 years, but tonight the signal will be switched off for the last time. And so we thought we'd bring you a little reminder of some of the big stories that we've brought to you since we launched our own half hour. Monday, 23rd of April. Good evening and welcome to a new week on Look East. In your programme tonight.
Will you answer any questions about your role in the loan to the football club, Mr. McIntosh?
Ricky Neve's killer is still at large.
Do you know what it's like to be looked at and laughed at every single day? Because I do, and I'm absolutely sick to death of it.
From this evening, I must give the British people a very simple instruction. You must stay at home.
Stay home, stay home, stay home, stay home.
Let's take a look at the results for you then. Here it is, the map of the region going into this election.
The lowest inflation rate a couple of days ago in a generation.
The incompetence of the local Conservative administration.
And the opportunity is huge.
How long will it be until we see that?
If I was standing here about 6 months ago, then I'd be up to my waist in water. But as you can see, water levels really have dropped.
We understand people want to enjoy the weather, but it's just about being sensible.
It's been a bowling alley, it's been a warehouse, but now it is home to the first eco-mosque built anywhere in Europe. Hello and welcome to Police HQ.
Janine Machen, please come to gate 13. You are holding the whole plane up.
Welcome to a special Look East on a wet and wild night alongside the A14 in Cambridgeshire. We are attempting to bring you tonight's programme without creating any carbon emissions.
Hi everyone.
Took a walk down with my dad and my family just to have a look at it, and it was lovely actually. There were so many people there.
The horse racing industry is worth 4 billion. 242 of that is generated here in Newmarket.
So that's all, folks. It falls to me to say that we know you are in really good hands with the team in Norwich, and there is plenty more news on BBC Radio and BBC News Online. But on behalf of each and every one of us here in the West, we want to say thank you for giving us your time, your trust, for sharing your stories with us. And you can see how much it means and all of the messages you've been sending. It has been an absolute privilege to serve Cambridgeshire, Northamptonshire and the 3 counties. So, for one last time from all of us here, thank you for your company. Have a great Christmas. Good night.